because I would have never said no in that situation before. I would have always, oh, you see me, you see that I have value. Oh my god, thank you. Like, oh my god, like I'm so happy that you see me. I would love to abandon my dreams to be where you want me to be cuz you feel more comfortable with me here. And it was like, yeah, if I can do this, if I can do this in this situation that I've worked so fucking hard to be in it and walk away, then anything is possible.
I'm really excited to get into this conversation with you. My name is Damaly Shepherd, and I am the creative director for Amber Taylor Coaching. And I'm really excited because we're going to be interviewing Amber on what she's working on, what you can expect, and what you should be looking out for. So, Amber, give us a little update, remind us who you are and where you are in coaching right now.
Yeah, so excited to do this interview with you today. My name is Amber Taylor, and I am a holistic relationship coach. And if you're new to that term, let me explain. So, I'm a firm believer that we are in relationship with everything and everyone around us. So, that's not just romantic relationships, it's also platonic relationships, familial relationships, working relationships. It's most importantly the relationship that we have with ourselves. We have a relationship to our bodies. We have a relationship to money. We have a relationship to success. We have a relationship to the environment. We have a relationship to the world around us. We are in relationship with everything. And we've been done a disservice because nobody's taught us how to work on these relationships, how to improve them outside of our romantic ones. And we all know that there's a lot of bad advice out there about romantic relationships anyway. So, what I do for my clients is audit all of the relationships they have in their life, find the gaps between where they are now and where they want to be. And so I help you curate those relationships so that your needs are always met, not just at a baseline, but in an abundance. So you are in a position to be fully supported and you are in a position to do anything you want, be anyone you want, including the version of yourself that you've only dreamed about. I help my clients continue to get closer to their dreams.
I love that. I hear you saying closer a lot, which I love. I love this word. I love the way that you're using it. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're going to be helping your clients get closer to?
Totally. Honestly, everything. And I know that's not the best answer. However, in this container now, what I'm helping my clients get closer to is their dream relationships in every aspect of the world. So we have the silos, like I mentioned before, of our relationship with ourselves, our relationship to work and our career, our relationship to friends, to family, to a partner or partners, so on and so forth. It's about becoming closer to who you truly want to be and how you want to live in every single relationship that you have. So, like with our relationship to ourselves, it's about being the person that you can always come home to. It's about being your own biggest cheerleader and your own biggest advocate versus your own biggest critic and hater. When it comes to your work, it's not about being burnt out and giving everything that you have for little in return. It's about fulfillment. It's about mutual respect. It's about being honored for who you are and what you bring to the table. With your friends and your family, you finally get to have the connections that you've always wanted. And no, they may not look the way that you've always wanted them to, but I help my clients find a new path to get to where they want to be, even if their first dream didn't work out the way they wanted it to. So yeah, I help my clients get closer to every dream relationship that they have.
That sounds amazing, honestly. So I'd love a little bit of background and let's give them some texture to what we're talking about. How did this, how did, how did holistic relationship coaching find you? Like, where were you in your own life? Tell us a little bit more about your journey as a coach.
Yeah, it's such an interesting question. I don't even know where to begin, but let's start at the beginning. I started off as a trauma coach, and then I ultimately worked my way to a pleasure coach once I realized how deeply interconnected that pain and pleasure were. and how most Black women's relationship to pleasure is stunted for many, many reasons. But I wanted to focus on pleasure, not to say that we don't have a focus on pain or that stuff never comes up, because of course it still does, but to give more attention on that revolutionary aspect, to put ourselves first, to put our own pleasure first, and let the cards lie where they may. As I was selling pleasure coaching and working with clients in that capacity, people were coming to me for all different reasons. And I was involved in a few different types of communities with different focuses on different aspects of coaching. Like, one of them was general life coaching, but through a feminist lens. One of them was a dating program. Another one was business. Everything from starting your own business, getting your first clients, to becoming full-time in that business, to scaling that business, to quitting your full-time job, to everything. So I was seeing, I had the privilege to work with hundreds of women in a short amount of time, or, relatively short. And I kept seeing patterns. I kept seeing patterns in everything. People who were struggling in their business were having the same struggles, the same thoughts, the same issues as people who were struggling in their marriage. And I kept finding these Easter eggs, if you will, that became the through line to everything. So it wasn't just like, oh, let me help you with this single thing, this single relationship, because everything is so interconnected. And the way that I see the world, the way that I see other people, the way that I draw connections, the way that I see patterns allows me to connect dots that other people aren't able to. So instead of picking one area, I said, come on, bring it all. We're going to break all of this down, and we're going to get you exactly to where you need to be, because it's all related.
One of my favorite things about all of the things that we've talked about to prepare for Closer and the launch and everything that's happening is that you describe what you do with your clients, like you viewing all of these relationships that they have as a map. Can you tell us a little bit more and break that down a little bit for us?
Yeah, interestingly enough, I thought everybody thinks like this. But that's not the case. I recently learned, or again, relatively recently learned, that I am autistic, and I have the special brand of autism that allows you to connect patterns, to draw the dots in the relationships and all the kinds of things. So in anything that I do, I create a map in my head of how it's related to other things, so that I can draw on connections and pull experiences, so that I can be more apt to handle any situation or challenge. And I've just found how to do that with my clients as well, pointing things out that they've never noticed, that they've never seen, cutting through all the bullshit to get to the point, to help them more powerfully than they've been helped before.
Yeah, can you give us an example, a vague example, right?
So one of my clients came to me when she was with her boyfriend, and she was waiting for the next step, wanting to be married, wanting the whole nine, the husband, the kids, the house, the whole thing. But the person that she was with, he wasn't going to give that to her. And he wasn't in the position, he didn't have the capacity, and she was taking that as a personal failing, like something was wrong with her, versus she was just asking the wrong person. And as we were unloading that and unpacking that, what she believed she deserved came up. Of she was asking him, this person in particular that had no business being with her, giving her everything that she needed, to fill a gap in her idea of her own lovability or deservability. And then that was playing out in how she showed up at work, and always overworking, always going above and beyond, always doing twice as much, expecting half in return, because she thought that's just who she had to be to even get close to what she wanted, coupled with the relationship that she had with her parents, and being that another sibling cut ties because of the toxicity within them. And then that made her feel like she had to take on his load versus doing what she actually wanted to do best for her. this desire to be the good girl, the one that's always right, the one that's always the bigger person, permeated every aspect of her life, but she was miserable. So what I do with my clients is get to the root of the problem, and that's the point of this whole map and mapping out the relationships and doing the relationship audit, is because there are thoughts, there are feelings, there are unresolved traumas that allow her to default to showing up in these ways, to default to overworking, to try and earn her worth, to try and earn her belonging, to try and earn her own humanity when she already has it, and all she has to do is show the fuck up and own it. So some of the things that we worked on outside of like ending her romantic relationship was also increasing her own self-confidence, her own self-esteem, and her own desirability, deservability, and lovability, because those things had to increase for her to be able to demand what she wanted, for her to be able to get closer to what she wanted. She put everything that she had into work, into career, into doing extracurriculars, being on the board of this, doing this for this TV station and that, and all these guys, and getting crumbs in return. She was burning herself out to try and prove she was worthy when she didn't have to work that damn hard, because she is inherently worthy, as we all are. But I helped her see that as a default, not as a hope to believe one day, but she genuinely believes that now. And because of that work, we were able to do so much more. Now in her career, she dropped the contracts that weren't serving her, dropped the boards that weren't serving her, raised her rates to reflect and respect what she actually does for her clients. And now she's making more money in less time. And not only that, we got some passive income coming in, because one of the things that she was holding herself back from was violin. She is a classical violinist, and she loves to play, and she loves to work with the Black community as well, to introduce classical music and Black classical music as well. But she was holding herself back because she didn't go to Juilliard. Yep, truly didn't believe that she could be successful in anything in violin, let alone get paid, because she didn't go to a certain school. And now she's made thousands, over $10,000 from playing violin.
Those results sound amazing. Can you give us an idea of how long that takes? Like, what can people expect?
Yeah, I usually work with my clients on a 4-month container. And even the client that I was just referring to, she gave me a testimonial that she was able to accomplish more in our sessions together in 3 months than she ever has in years of therapy. So even though this work doesn't happen overnight, we do work at an elevated pace relative to other healing modalities, because of the tools I use and the way that I work, and my unique way to understand exactly what you need to get to where you want. So the blueprint or roadmap that I make for you is the fast track to where you need to be. And granted, even though I say fast track, again, this work you don't see these results overnight. However, in my container, we do meet almost weekly. I do leave 1 week out the month for integration, because it's so important not just to continue to learn more, but to practice and integrate what you're learning so that it truly becomes a part of you.
So you mentioned the good girl. Can you tell us a little bit more about the types of women that you end up working with, or that commonly approach you?
I think good girls do come up a lot, or former good girls, people pleasers or former people pleasers. I think primarily Black women who are neurodivergent or suspect that they are.
Or the corporate girls?
I guess a way to say high achieving. People who have been able to achieve a lot in their life, but maybe not in the best ways or the most healthy or sustainable ways. People who are looking for change are looking for something different. They know that they cannot continue on the path that they're on, and they want something different. They also kind of tend to be the black sheep in some capacity, whether it be in their family group, their friend group, their work relationship, whatever. They have that energy, a little bit of ostracization, a little bit of like, I don't belong here. And I love that because I help my people find their belonging. I help my people choose to belong anywhere they want to. And so, even if that looks different than what they wanted or what they initially wanted or expected, they can still get that feeling regardless. So, yeah.
That's amazing. I love all of that. And while you were talking, it kind of made me wonder what pieces of those people are inside of you. Like, what are some of those categories that you've resonated with, whether you still do or have in the past?
Yeah. All of them. All of them. I definitely grew up as the goodest girl. Like I couldn't be anything less. It was part of my identity and very, very heavy in the people pleaser category. But I just thought that was the way that I had to be, the way that everyone just should be. And that, yeah, I just had to do everything and go above and beyond for everyone because why not? I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And yeah, I am a daughter of immigrants. I am a daughter of a narcissistic parent. I am a daughter of a blended family and sibling of a blended family. I am a divorcee. Happily, I may add, I am happily divorced. Don't put nothing else on that, because please don't tell me sorry. Don't tell me nothing, because baby, it had to happen. I am very happily divorced, but I'm also a survivor of trauma and abuse. I'm neurodivergent myself, late diagnosed. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was about 25 or 24, 25, I don't know, around then. And with autism, around 30. So, yeah. And
Let's talk a little bit more around like these identities and how they counteract with relationships. Like being the good girl, how does being a good girl affect your relationships? What are, if I am a good girl, what's something I should be keeping an eye on or paying attention to?
yeah, it depends.
Of course.
It genuinely depends to like at what degree you take on the good girl identity and how it affects you. Because I'm not here to say that anybody should or everybody should act the same way or shouldn't do certain things or should do certain things or whatever. That's not my bag. It's more about what's best for you. So if being a good girl kills you inside, if not speaking up, if always letting everybody else run all over you, if all that stuff, like if it actually hurts, if it doesn't feel good, if you feel anxious all the time or feel like crying all the time or you feel upset but you can't explain it, then that's not helpful. That's what you need to keep an eye on. And honestly, with everything, my litmus test with everyone is check in with you first. It's not about the behavior, it's not about the result, it's about you. And it's about how you feel in process to the result, in process through the behavior, and after the fact. So I'd ask my good girls to check in on themselves, and is this something that you really want to do? Like are these behaviors what you want to do? And there's probably a mixed bag. Some of them are things that you do want to do genuinely, and some aren't. So my advice really is to figure out what you want, and even ask yourself that question, because I know so many good girls just don't. So get familiar with what you want, what you need, what makes you happy, and then work towards that.
That's an amazing answer, and I think it's a good point here to talk about the way that, like, when we're talking about this relationship, you're leading with a relationship with self, right? Deciding what we want, is that one of the things that you tend to work on the most with people, or are there other things that also come up often with your clients?
Yes, and
Yeah.
it definitely comes up often because I think so many people just don't check in with themselves to see what they want. They have expectations of them and for them that they may adopt as their own wants, or they have expectations from society of like, oh, you should do that, you should go to college, you should get married, you should buy property, you should do all these things. And they don't really check in with what they want. They just follow the motions and check the boxes. So that is one of the biggest things I work on with my clients, because how are we going to get closer to what you want if you don't even know what it is? So it's really important, and I think everything does kind of stem from that or flow from that, because having the audacity to even not even before you get to the point of like outwardly seeking it or outwardly going after it, having the audacity to identify what you want for yourself in your heart is powerful. It becomes your guiding light. It becomes your North Star. It becomes the thing that makes everything else make sense.
That's fantastic. Was there anything in your own personal life that led you to the specific work? Like you've mentioned some of the experiences that you've had, but like when it comes to coaching and particularly relationship coaching, is there something inside of you that feels really excited about the fact that you get to help women with something that you once needed help with?
Oh yeah, I love this shit. I think this answer is multifold, but coming to this point in my career and or even starting this business and helping the people in the way that I do is really a full circle moment, because I've always loved to help people. I've always loved to understand how people work and what makes them do what they do, to the point where, in this hindsight 2020, but damn, I've been autistic. But yeah, I used to sit on the playground and watch people, watch everyone. And granted, my questions then weren't as profound as they are now, because I was like, okay, what makes people popular? What makes people attractive? Like, AKA, like, in elementary school, people were having their little boyfriends, girlfriends, and whatever, and it's just like, and I wasn't getting them. Granted, I was at PWIs my whole life, but however, I digress. It was just like, I was just trying to understand people. What made people who they are? What made them work like that? What made them think like that? What made them talk like that? What made them have the audacity to be the person to do something first? Like, what goes into that? And so I've always had that curiosity. However, as I grew up, my main goal became money, and that's where my first career took me down, to just be able to make money. However, returning to coaching, it was, let's see.
And that first career, you were more of a corporate girly, right?
Yes, in my first career, I was a corporate girly. I graduated the University of Alabama, Roll Tide, with a degree in MIS, aka Management Information Systems. So like computer science mixed with business management. And after graduating, I went immediately to work at Microsoft. Started off as a consultant, ended up as a program manager, into technical sales and all the things, before I ended up quitting to do what I do now. But how I came into coaching was for my ex. I was in an abusive relationship and I didn't really realize it. I was just trying to understand how I could be better for him, how I could change myself so that he wouldn't react to me in the way that he did. What I could do to help him progress and propel and be the person that I saw him as, meet the potential that I wanted him or expected out of him. Yeah, so many mistakes, but let me hear. So yeah, that's why I initially started coaching, to understand how to fix myself to become better for a partner. And thank God that in my process with coaching and being coached and taking a certification and diving deeper into the work, I learned that I don't need to change myself to be better for him. I get to change my circumstances. I get to change what I think and believe about them. I get to do things differently, to be the person I want to be, to have the relationship that I want to have. So I initially, again, started into coaching because of my ex. However, when I started learning how powerful these tools were and the effects that they were having in my life, I decided to get a certification, because at the time I didn't know, but I was going down an ADHD rabbit hole and I needed to know more. So
tell us more about the modalities. It's a really great time. Tell us more about what you've learned.
Yeah, so my first My first certification taught me the model, which is a form of cognitive behavioral therapy, which is basically very similar to talk therapy, but how we can change our thoughts, to change our feelings, to change our actions, to change our results, no matter what the circumstance is. I've also had intersectionalist and feminist training, understanding how society affects different marginalized identities, and honestly, the non marginalized one as well, and understanding how systems and the world at large are at play differently for different people, so I can be able to coach people in different situations better, as well as a certification in somatic healing and trauma renegotiation, really getting in touch with the nervous system and knowing how to heal it, how to get to a place of copaesthetics, if you will, aka the window of tolerance, and how to spend more time there so you're not in that high sympathetic or the low parasympathetic states where we're in that fight or flight, or we're so down that we can barely get ourselves up to do anything. And shooting up and down in between those two polarizing places without taking time to stop in that window of tolerance is damaging, is how it leads to burnout, to trauma, to so many other things. So that certification also helps me understand what's at play in people's bodies, in people's minds, in people's nervous systems, and bringing that into the aspect as well, or bringing that into the field as well. And I also dabble in human design, EFT, astrology, Reiki, all the things. I'm constantly learning. I always love finding out new ways to help myself and help my clients. So the list will grow.
A well-rounded, overachieving queen. We know. We know. That's amazing. I'm so impressed by all of that. And it kind of makes me wonder about, like, what's one of the ways that you've used one of these tools to, like, help someone out of a scenario? And we don't have to get too specific, but, like, is there something that you remember that made you feel really grateful for the training that you've had?
Yeah, I love somatics. I love it so much because it allows me to work with a client on something that can be very triggering, very touchy, and light them up in a lot of ways without going directly into the event or the thing that is triggering them. So we can talk about a traumatic event for them without actually talking about it. We're talking about how it makes them feel and what's coming up in their body and what to do with those things and how to, measure and mediate those feelings to decrease the intensity so that returning to that same trigger doesn't have the same effect. So I've helped my clients through a lot of shit that I don't even know what they were struggling with because we were able to focus on the body versus the brain.
Oof. Wow. Okay. That's amazing. Is there a client experience that made me go, yep, this is exactly what I was meant to do?
Yeah, granted, I have those kind of moments all the time, but the one that sticks out in my head is when I quit my job and my skip level manager, so not my manager, but my manager's manager, was trying to get me to stay. And she was talking to me and like giving me different options, and we love you, we love how you think, we love all this kind of stuff, and I was just like, nah, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm gonna do this. And she was like, well, would you consider coaching us, like the team here, with how we can be more, and at this time it was 2020, so it was 2020, and this white woman was asking me to coach her and her white peers how they could do better for black people. And I was just like, no. Because one, and I think this popped up in my head as an answer to your question. One, because she saw me as someone who could help her. Even though she never experienced my help in that capacity, she saw me for who I am and still knew that it would work, and it would work for her, and it would work for her peers, and it would help them as well. And it was also empowering for me because I said no. I was leaving Microsoft, multiple six figures of salary, benefits, and the whole nine, to fucking wing it. Like I didn't leave with a real plan. I just left with a mission. And this was like that security that I could have used to help propel me. But I was so sure of myself and sure of my mission and sure of who I wanted to help that I said no. And that was one of my moments of just like, yeah, I this is exactly what I need to do, because I would have never said no in that situation before. I would have always, oh, you see me, you see that I have value. Oh my god, thank you. Like, oh my god, like I'm so happy that you see me. I would love to abandon my dreams to be where you want me to be cuz you feel more comfortable with me here. And it was like, yeah, if I can do this, if I can do this in this situation that I've worked so fucking hard to be in it and walk away, then anything is possible.
Damn. Okay. What's something that comes up often across clients that still sometimes surprises you?
Interesting question. I don't think there's like one specific answer of like across the board, this surprises me about clients. However, I do think I am surprised that some people just default to believing what they believe, even though I'm like so far past it. Like, if that makes sense.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
So, an example of me coaching somebody through dating, and there was something there was something under it, and I was digging and I was searching and I was asking questions, and we were getting places. We were talking about attraction and how she sees herself and what other people see her as and how she can shore that up and all the things, but there was something still there driving the intensity of her emotions. And when I kept poking around, it was that she just believed that this one thing, aka making a dating profile on an app, was do or die. Like, the pictures that she chose, the prompts that she chose, the answers that she put out, like, she had to do it right. She had to do it. There would be no other opportunities, no other chances, no other nothing. And like, I find my clients getting into this place often of putting so much pressure and perfection on one thing of like, this is it, this is do or die, this is, I have to make it, I have to make this vice grip so tight on it, but it makes everything else so hard. And I come back to this of like, it's not that fucking deep. Like, there's always something that we could do. No matter what happens, there's always a next step. Like, even if it goes absolutely horribly, worst case scenario, there's always a next step. There's always a place to rectify. This isn't the end all be all. And yeah, I guess it's kind of surprising that my clients just can end up in those places and continue to believe that there's so much pressure on one thing. But there's always options.
I love that. I love that. And I'm going to use this moment to trick you a little bit and ask for a little bit of a pullback on the process, right? So we've been working on this process of rebranding, Closer and Amber, and there's something that we came up a bit against with each other when it came to like talking about the brand and the business, where it kind of felt like perfectionism might have been in play.
Oh yeah,
so
I
like,
got it too.
So like, so like, if I can't in front of all these people before she gets me later, what's it been like for you to be in a scenario where you're in something that feels similarly because you care about this, because you love your clients, because you want this to be right? Like, what's it been like for you to also experience some of those things too right now?
Yeah. Great question, and I am going to take a detour before I answer it. And I think it's important to note that I am not some highly evolved being that doesn't go through shit no more. Like, no, that shit still hits. That still affects me. It's not like I don't ever people please anymore, or don't ever have perfectionist tendencies, or don't ever do some shit. Like, I'm human too. And I come from a line of, this is how I learned. I've spent decades doing shit a certain kind of way, believing certain things about myself, and relatively a very short amount of time, less than a goddamn kindergartner, changing that. Of course, things are going to happen that push me back into my old patterns. So I don't think that's bad or wrong or anything like that. It's like, it's genuinely expected. And like, why would you want to work with somebody who has no idea of what you experience and what you go through? Like, we here because I got that shit too. And it's just, I know how to manage it better. I know how to handle it better. And I know when and how to ask for support to help me through it. So with your example of like going through this process, like, yeah, I've been in business 5 years. Well, 5 years this October. I feel like I haven't had my moment yet, my real, like, this is it, this is what I do, this is what, like, this is so succinct and it makes sense and everybody gets it.
Even though you've helped so many people already.
Even though I've helped so many people already, yes, it's like helping them from my business.
Right.
Me being the only player in it, them coming straight to me, it felt different. I felt, what do you call, protective of it. Like, it's my baby and I can't just give my baby to anybody. I can't just let my baby do oh, you think my baby should do this? Like, who are you and why should I listen? Like, it's my fucking baby. So yeah, I'm scared to let go of control. I'm scared to try new things. I have perfectionist tendencies that do come into play, and yeah, that's why I'm so grateful that I hired you as my creative director, because you're able to help me see my shit, help me talk through it, and call me out on it when it is something that does need to change or does need to be reworked, or when it is just me versus me in my own head, and you help me get out of it.
It's so like complimentary to the work that you do, and also I think so humanizing, because a lot of the times when we look at the folks in front of us on the screen, we're like, well, they have it all together and it makes them somehow better. And it's like, no, we're all human, living human experiences. Mm-hmm. And there are places, like, I feel like, you know, we can feel really strong in some categories and not as strong in others. And it just feels like another good example of that. So I appreciate you being a little vulnerable.
Of course.
And allowing us to see that side of you too, because I think it's important. And not only are you working through it, but you're here and you're doing it and you're taught, and it's amazing. And yeah, we all love you.
Oh.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna call this things that I think Amber feels very passionate about. So I'm just gonna like say a few words, and you're just gonna respond naturally. So I'm gonna start with a word,
okay,
or a term, and you're going to tell us how you feel about it, whatever comes to mind. Okay.
All right.
So the first one you already know. You already know where I'm going for the first one.
Oh, God.
Tell us a little, what do you think, what comes up when I say the words compassion fatigue?
God, okay, this one's played out. I've already spoken my piece. I'm not as passionate about it anymore. But, okay, well, I guess initially when you brought up compassion fatigue to me, I was irritated, because this is a real issue. This is something that people go through, but I think so many people use it as part of their identity that they just think it comes with the territory. Like, oh, I'm in this type of work, or I deal with these type of people, or whatever, so I just have to have compassion fatigue. And it's like, no, boo, you have to have better boundaries. Like, you have to tighten your, especially if you do this work, you gotta be shored up. You can't have leaks coming out and in, because that affects your ability to do this work. And again, compassion fatigue and burnout and all these things are not badges of honor. Nobody's gonna give you a medal for putting yourself through the fucking ringer for the sake of other people. The universe is not gonna give you a gold fucking sticker. Like, it's just, you're hurting yourself, and there are ways to not. There are ways where you can still do what you do, be around who you're around, and not get burnt out and not get compassion fatigue. So as a concept, like, yeah, it makes sense, but like, I don't want to speak to it. I don't want to speak how you do better with compassion fatigue, because it doesn't even have to be a part of your vocabulary. Like, it's literally just, you ain't got to deal with that shit.
Okay. Next one is booked and busy.
Why? It's, I get like, all right.
I'm
like,
gonna say it because I feel like I mumbled a little bit. Booked and busy. Okay.
Yeah, like, all right, go off, sis. Like, I don't.
Are you booked and busy? Do you think of yourself as booked and busy? Like,
I don't think of myself as busy. Yeah, I do have things to do. I have a schedule, I have a calendar, I have people to see, work and outside of work. However, I don't like being busy, so I just don't let myself get busy. So, yeah, and it's not to say that there aren't busy seasons where I am working harder, doing more than I am in other seasons. Like this launch is one right now to do this. I am busier. However, I also don't look at busy as a badge of honor. Like, I like having downtime. I like having recharge time. I like having time to myself. I like having time to just not do shit. I like having time to be spontaneous. So, like, even though I'm booked and busy, if you will, I still got hella fucking time for me.
that's like, that's a complete flex because I feel like our society teaches us to covet busy and to forego ourselves. And what I'm hearing is your pleasure priority framework, right? Where
Yeah.
it's very much about like making sure that there's space for you.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, society is rooted in capitalism. And if you are always busy, you are a cog in the machine working towards a capitalistic nature and structure and feeding the beast. And I'm a rebel at my soul, so no, I don't want to do that shit anymore. It's like, yes, I still live in this world. I still need to make money. I still need to do things to survive, but I don't need to base everything off of it. I don't need to base my whole life, my whole identity off of making money, being busy, being important, being whatever. Like, that's annoying. It's really fucking annoying, and I don't like to be annoyed. So I stopped being busy.
That's like genuinely one of my favorite things about you as a person. Like, you are such a rooted person. Like, you know exactly who you are and you live that thoroughly. And I feel like the people around you know exactly who you are too. As someone who feels a little behind in that journey because I grew up a bit more sheltered and the good girl and learned a lot more to put other people first, right? Like, what would you give to someone like me who's on that, who's trying to get to a place where like it's always about my own pleasure and my own prioritizing myself the way that you do, even when it means that I'm compromising or out in the world amongst other folks. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and righteously, I think give yourself more credit. Because just because you're not as far as you think that I am, doesn't mean that you haven't taken steps in your own journey. And just from what I know about you, I'm not gonna put it out on the podcast, but like, you've been doing it. You've been making the changes. You've been doing the work. You've been making hard decisions. You've been restructuring your life. Like, you've been aligning yourself to get to where you want to be. So I think, yeah, like, give yourself more credit, and also remember that this is a journey. And like, I didn't just end up here. I think, like, when we met in life, I already lived about 17 lives. Like, you met me after I got divorced, after I dyed my hair, after I was a solo coach in my own business.
You moved to New York.
Moved. No, you knew me before I moved officially to New York.
Sure.
But like,
We became friends.
yeah,
Though.
we became friends after I moved to. So like, yeah, I had already gone through a lot of shit. So you were coming in close to my, I'm not gonna call it a climax because I don't think I'm at the top and I don't think I'm going down from here, but you caught me at a hell of a upswing. Yeah.
Okay, so I love that advice because I think that all the good girls, especially the sheltered black girls, those are the categories I kind of think I fall into. Not giving ourselves credit comes like second nature, right? Especially if you come from cultures, also immigrant kid here, who like, you know, it wasn't very expressive. So I love that you said to give yourself more credit, right? Look at what you've actually been doing and say, yeah, I've done some good things too, right? I might have somewhere to go, but I've done some good things. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. If there is someone listening right now who feels stuck, right? They're working through maybe career issues, or they feel stuck in their relationship, or there's just an issue that keeps coming back up with their parents, right? There's someone who's feeling incredibly stuck and they're just not really sure about where to turn next. Is there a general form of advice of like how they can turn around or create more space for themselves in that moment of being stuck?
I'd offer that you're not stuck, you just haven't decided yet. Like you're still balancing or trying to choose between yourself and everything else. And it feels like you're at a sticking point because, honey, you know what to do, but you're scared of doing it, of following through, and then everything that comes with it, or everything that you perceive to come with it. And yeah, there's gonna be some shit that comes. There's gonna be some shit to deal with. But like I said earlier, there's always options. There's always options. So the best way to unstick yourself is just to make a decision and honor that decision. I'm not telling you that you have to choose yourself. You don't have to. But what decision that you make, that's what directly filters into the life that you're going to live and how it plays out. So if you don't choose yourself, and you do choose to continue to not put yourself first, to be a people pleaser, to self-detriment, to do all those things, it's like you're also choosing what comes with it. You're also choosing the pain, the suffering, the loneliness, the anxiety, all of that comes with it. And not saying that those feelings don't live with the other choice of choosing yourself, but you have significantly more flexibility and options in what else you can feel. Like, we're always going to be on the human spectrum of emotions. We're always going to have to feel things, whether they are good or bad, positive or negative, whatever you want to spin on it. No matter what position we're in, life is going to be 50-50. Shit's going to suck. And shit's also going to be great. And it's deciding what your heart is. Because, yeah, it's hard to choose yourself, and it's also hard to not. So to get unstuck, you just got to make a decision and deal with the consequences on either side. And granted, I'm always here to help the people who want to make the decision for themselves. But at the end of the day, it's your choice.
As we start to ramp down, I want to come back to dreams, because I feel like it's something that we kind of reference everywhere when it comes to you and your brand and what you help folks with, right? And I think it's really easy, especially when we're talking about scenarios like getting stuck, falling out of alignment, starting over, right? Which, a huge chunk of like, what is that you do? People lose their way when it comes to their dreams, right? Mm-hmm. Your clients they're dreaming of more money, they're dreaming of better friendships, they're dreaming of big loves, right? How do you help folks connect back to their dreams when it feels like they've been in those stuck places where they couldn't even access them anymore?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, because when we say dreams, I think people always think these big, bold, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be the first person on Mars, I want to sure, yes, those count, but dreams also look different. They also look like what you want your life to look like. Like, for example, when I was with my ex, I would fantasize about a relationship where somebody treated me the way I wanted to be treated, where someone touched me like I wanted to be touched, held me like I wanted to be held, talked to me like I wanted to be talked to. That was my literal dream. And even though I was having those thoughts in that place, I shamed myself for them. I was like, oh my God, no, you're married. Like, you should be faithful. You should be working on this relationship. You should do this. You should do that. Like, that's not okay. And I think so often we can't connect to our dreams, or we feel like we can't connect to our dreams because we tell ourselves that they're not okay to have, or that they're impossible to have, or that there'd be too hard, or too many hills to climb, mountains to climb, too much to work on to get there. And I think that is the biggest disconnector between ourselves and our dreams. Like, because one, we have to acknowledge what we want. Two, we have to see it as possible. Granted, if you have a dream to fly like a bird, Mm, I don't necessarily think that's possible, but can you go skydiving, parasailing? Hell yeah! Like yes, they have to be possible within like the human condition, but there's so much possibility there. There's so many options there.
In this context of your business, you're helping folks with dreams, whether it is with doing things that they haven't done in their business, having better relationships, better friendships, right? These are things that they have dreamed of. But do dream relationships still take work?
Of course they do.
Like, help us navigate that difference between like having a relationship that feels perfect and maybe saying this is the dream, or having a dream relationship that might still take some work inside of it as well. I hope I said that well.
I mean, perfection doesn't exist.
Right.
No matter what you do or relationship that you're in, work will be required. And work is required to maintain the relationships that you want. Like, even with work, like you can have your dream job. Like one of the dreams that I had when I was working at Microsoft was like, "Ugh, I wish I could make this much money without working like a dog." And granted, I can, but it still does take work. Like I'm not just gonna get paid for waking up in the morning. Wouldn't it be nice if anyone will? But like, yeah, no, it's always going to take work. So I don't want to create the expectation that your dreams are this like happy go lucky place and like you just get there and then woo, like that's it. Like no more work. I just soft life forever. Like no.
Or even the belief that like there being like certain conflicts means that it's no longer the dream, right? That it disqualifies it from being the dream.
No, there's always going to be some give and take. And there is a strong difference between compromise and sacrifice. And even your dreams require compromise. So things won't look exactly the way that you imagine, exactly the way that you expected, but that's why I say it's so important to get to the root of what you want. So like even like let's go to friendships. Like I want a friend group that's compromised of half men, half women, and then we have our token couple that use they them pronouns. We look like the United Nations. We always go out every Friday. We always do this. We always had that. We always da da da. And it's like, okay, it may not look like that, but what do you like? What's behind that? What do you like? What do you really want from that friend group? It's like, oh, I want people that always have my back. I want people that I could call when I'm happy, when I'm sad, when I want to do shit, when I just want to sit the fuck down. I want people that will make it out the group chat to a vacation. Like that's why I say it's so important to get what you want, because it can look very different than what you thought. You may not be getting dinner every Friday. You may not see each other every week, but you still have those people that fulfill the need that you initially wanted. But regardless, that takes work.
I love that. That's really great. And before we end, I feel like I would be remiss if we don't talk about the fact that like a big part of the relationship work that we do, regardless of the relationship, because again, we're not just talking about romance, is communication skills, right? Like I feel like one of the most valuable parts of your work is that you're helping folks who have not learned how to effectively communicate, how to speak up for their own needs, how to say when something's wrong with them, how to advocate for themselves, how to set boundaries, right? Like these are all great communication tools. I know that I kind of answered and asked my question at the same time, but like just in that frame, tell us a little bit more about the communication work that comes with the relationship coaching that you give to your clients.
Yeah, interesting question, but it's like, I guess I'm having a visualization, and it's like how I teach my clients how to communicate with their walls down. And it's like I teach them how to be more vulnerable, but not in a sense of just like, exposing themselves to be hurt, but being able to be who they are, say what they want to say without feeling like that's dangerous. And I teach them how to advocate for themselves and have their own backs and stand up when things aren't right, or so like boundaries of our course a big part of it. Clear, open communication, saying what you mean is a big part of it. I think one of the biggest parts as well is letting people have human reactions. I think so many of us were taught, either directly or indirectly, that we can control other people if we just say the right thing or do the right thing to make them say and do what we want them to do. But really, that's just manipulation. And if you're comfortable with somebody else having a differing opinion or being upset with you or not liking something that you did and said, that's going to serve you so well because it's inevitable. Not letting that shit rock you righteously is one of the roots, one of the foundations to the work that we do, because yeah, letting other people be human gives space for you to be human for whatever that looks like and whatever you need. And so yeah, that's how I navigate communication. It's just being able to drop the walls and still get your point across.
You have a webinar coming up on August 25th where you're going to be getting into this, but even more. Can you tell us more about that webinar and why folks should be signing up for it?
Yes. So August 25th, mark your calendars, but it's called Closer to Your Dream Relationships. How to move on from the toxic dynamics that are keeping you from the life that you want. So going with the conversation that we've had today, you've learned a lot of helpful and not helpful ways, and you've also never learned a lot of things that can help you build the relationships that you need to get to where you want to be, especially the relationship with yourself and the relationship with those around you to help you, support you, propel you to where you want to be consistently and sustainably. So this webinar is going to be amazing, if I do say so myself, and we're going to be getting into the nitty-gritty of how to actually move on from these toxic dynamics, how to change them, and how to adopt new dynamics that actually work better for who you are and where you want to be.
And one of our main points here that we had was, I'm too busy to work on the issues in my relationships. Can you give us a little bit of a sneak peek of like what that means and why folks should be clicking on the link to make sure that they're at this free webinar coming up? A lot of folks think they're too busy to work on the issues in their relationships, and that's going to be one of the major points that you speak about. Can you give us a little snippet of what they'll be getting, and why this, why they should be paying attention to this?
Yeah, no, believing that you're too busy to work on your relationships is a thought error, because whether you are actively and intentionally working on them, you're still working on them. Like they're still going, they're still moving. So you not being intentional about them just hurts you even more. So it's not about being too busy, it's about making the time. Because again, relationships are the currency of life. If you don't focus on them, you will be a broke bitch. And it's like, if you don't try to work on them, if you don't try to heal them, if you keep leaving that thing that's like eating at the back of your head about a fight you had with so and so, or what your dad said to you, or what somebody like that eats at you. No matter what, you're spending brain space on it, even if you think, oh, I have to write this proposal and I like nothing else matters and da da da, but you have to take a break every 5 minutes because it keeps coming up and you can't even focus. You are not too busy, you just haven't decided that it's important enough to do. This is your chance. Save the date and I'll see you on August 25th.
This has been such an amazing interview in space. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you did too.
I did. I'm so excited for y'all to see what's to come, not just with Closer the Experience, but with this entire rebrand. We got a new website on the way, and yeah, so much exciting stuff in the pike. So please make sure you are connected, you stay in the loop. And by the way, it's a free webinar, so just register and I'll see you there.
Thank you for being here. Thank you, Amber.
I'll see you soon, y'all. Stay pleased.
That was so good. How do you feel?
I feel hot.